Welcome to lesson 2.23. We're going to summarize sets of data with percentiles and FiveNumber summaries. Okay, a percentile is simply the percent of scores that are lower than the score of reference. Okay, so here is the 60th percentile of the biology test score, and so 100 test scores were at or below 79.5 and 40% were at or above 79.5, so that is the 60th percentile. Percentiles that divide the data into fourths are often called quartiles, and you do not want to try to make these quartiles mesh with the Houston Christian quartiles, because the Houston Christian quartiles are not statistical quartiles. Okay, it's just a whole different thing. So don't try to make sense out of reconcile the two different concepts. These are statistical quartiles, and they're the percentiles that divide the data into fourths. So the first quartile is the 25th percentile. So that marks off the lowest 25%. The second quartile would mark off the lowest 50%, but that already has a cool name of median, and so we just call it the median. And then the 75th percentile is called the third quartile, and that marks off the lowest 75%. And then, of course, you've got your minimum and maximum, and that gives you a good picture of the data. Again, statistical quartiles are different from than the HC quartiles. Do not try to form an analogy between the two concepts. All right, so to compute the quartiles, you're going to order the data from smallest to largest. You're going to find the median, which is the second quartile. And then you're going to take the two sets of data that your original set has now been divided into. To find the first quartile, you're going to find the median of the lower half of the data. To find the third quartile, you're going to find the median of the upper half of the data. Or you can just use your calculator. When you do the FiveNumber summary, if you scroll down to the bottom, it's going to give you all the values for a FiveNumber summary, which we'll talk about in a second, which includes the first quartile, the median, and the third quartile. All right. Now, sometimes we want to know how much spread is there in the middle of the data as well as the overall spread. So remember, range is maximum minus minimum. Interquartile range, which we call IQR, is Q3 minus Q1. Okay, so that tells you how much distance, how much range there is between the 25th percentile and the 75th percentile. So the first thing you have to do if you're going to find the IQR, and that should be IQR, not ICR, sorry, you're going to find the quartiles first. The data have been ordered, and so the median is 24, and then the first quartile is 17, the third quartile is 33, so the interquartile range is going to be 33 minus 17, which is 16. All right, I referenced the FiveNumber summary just a minute ago. It is a really nice way to summarize data. You always want to label the numbers whenever you write out the FiveNumber summary. So you want to put min for minimum, Q1 for quartile, med for median, Q3 for third quartile, and then max for maximum, and then put the values, okay? And the one of our stats that we used last time, define mean and standard deviation and that sort of thing, will give you all these values at the bottom of the list. Okay, so keep scrolling, you'll find them. Now, a great way to represent the FiveNumber summary and kind of give you a picture of what's going on is a box and whisker plot, or just Boxplot. Okay, so you can see here there's a box and then the little whiskers that go up to the highest value and then down to the lowest value. That's how it gets its name. All right, so making a vertical box and whisker plot by hand, you're going to draw a vertical scale including the lowest and highest values. To the right of the scale, you're going to draw the box that goes from Q1 to Q3. Then you're going to draw a solid line through the box at the median. Okay, so here we've got Q1, Q3, we made our box, and then we have this line where the median occurs. Now notice this median is not exactly in the middle of the Q1 and Q3, but it divides the number of observations evenly. Okay, so you're going to have a little more spread in this lower part than you do in the upper part, but that's okay. All right, and then you're going to draw lines, whiskers, from Q1 to the lowest value and from Q3 to the highest value. All right, so look up here. We're going to go from Q1 to the lowest value to the minimum, Q3 to the highest value or maximum. All right, so we're going to construct a vertical box plot by hand. You're welcome to draw vertical ones. I tend to draw horizontal ones, but it really doesn't matter. Whichever way you want to orient them is fine. Okay, so you want to determine the lowest value, the highest value, the first quartile, the median, the third quartile. Well, the easiest way to do that is just go ahead and enter the data into your calculator. And then we've got our vertical scale, and we draw, first thing you do is you do Q1, you draw that little line, and then Q3, you draw that, and then you make your box. Then you look at what the median is, and you look over at your scale, and you draw the median, and then you go from Q1 down to the lowest value, so down to 12, and then from Q3 up to the highest value, so up to 51. Now, if this were real life data, you would want to make sure that you have a title and then that you labeled what these values represent. All right, like I said, I prefer horizontal box and whisker plots, even if I'm just going to draw it. On your calculator, that's what it's going to give you. So what you want to do is you want to enter the data in a named list in a document. If nothing else, just label it values. Okay, so you want to add first, you have to start with a list and spreadsheet page so that you can enter the data. Once you have the data entered, you're going to add a data and statistics page just like you would to make a histogram. Choose the name you gave the list as the horizontal variable. And then instead of picking histogram, you're going to pick Boxplot. So you're going to do menu, plot, type, Boxplot. Okay, so sometimes we have outliers. And those are data values that are so high or so low that they seem to stand apart from the rest of the data. And so sometimes you have to ask, well, where do these come from? Sometimes it's data collection errors. Sometimes it's data entry errors. Sometimes they're valid but unusual data values. They must be identified to determine whether they are the result of an error or if they are a valid but unusual value. So one test for the outliers is the fence test, and that's going to be using your quartiles. So your lower limit is going to be Q1 minus 1.5 times the quartile, and Q3 plus 1.5 the interquartile range. And what that's going to give you are two fences. Anything that lies inside the fence is just a data value. Anything that lies outside the fence is an outlier. So let's apply that to this data. All right, enter it into your calculator, and Q1 is 17, Q3 is 33, the interquartile range is 16. So you need to figure out the IQR, which is 16, which we just did, and we're going to multiply it by 1.5, so it's 24. So we're going to take to get the lower limit, the lower fence, we're going to do 17, because that's our first quartile, minus 24. So that's our 1.5 times the IQR, and we get -7. For our upper limit or upper fence, we're going to do the third quartile plus our 1.5 times the IQR, so 33 plus 24, and we get 57. So values that are not outliers fall in the range -7 to 57 inclusive. Since all our values fall within those range, our minimum is higher than -7, our maximum is lower than 57, we have no outliers. But what if we had a data value of 60? Well, since 60 is greater than 57, then it would be an outlier. We would want to see if the result was an error or if it was just an unusual but valid value. Okay, so I want you to do some practice. So go ahead and do the problems to try on your own. You want to use your calculator with it, and you're going to go through it and you're going to do all the things. You're going to find the 5-number summary. You're going to construct a box plot. You're going to find the IQR, just Q3 minus Q1, and then you're going to test for outliers using that fence rule, doing Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR and Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR. And then, of course, we'll go over that at the beginning of class. Okay, guys, that's it. Please let me know if you need help. You're always welcome to email me and let me know how I can help you or drop by my classroom. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon.